Well, hey, Ge Holla, G dot Holla.
Girl, Ge Holla. Charlamagne the God here, man. Salute to you.
Shout out to Ge Holla, reaching 1 million listeners on his podcast.
Hey, a shout out to Ge Holla.
All y'all said entertainer, shout out my guy Ge Holla on MycelebrityLife podcast.
It's your girl Cynthia Bailey from The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I'm sending a shout out to Ge Holla.
And they spoke about, I know you could probably tie this in for me. They spoke about, when you spoke about the dancers for Soul Train. Is it true, to your knowledge, did Michael Jackson, because we know now that he did, I always thought he created the moonwalk, but he actually got it from the Soul Train dancers, according to them, as they were telling me.
Well, back in the day, you know, with Shalimar, when we would do our show, we would start the show out with this tune called "Right in the Socket," right? And in the middle of "Right in the Socket," that would be our opening song. And in the middle of "Right in the Socket," the band would break down into this funky groove. And then Jeffrey Daniel would stand on one side of the stage, and Jody and I would be on the other side of the stage, and we'd be grooving. And then Jody and I would pull this imaginary rope, and Jeffrey would backslide. We called it the backslide, right? Jeffrey would backslide all the way across the stage, man. And like so smooth, people, it was guaranteed people would be up on their feet because they thought he was like on a conveyor belt or something. But it was him. It was all him, just smooth all the way across the stage, backslide. Whenever we played Disneyland a lot back then, Disneyland and Disney World. And so every time we played Disneyland, Michael would come to the show. He'd stand backstage with his surgical mask on, and at that time Janet was really young. She would be with him, and so they would come to the show. And every time we would come to that part of the show, Michael would go crazy. He loved it, and so Jeffrey, literally, not figuratively, you know, he had later on in a few years later. Michael hired Jeffrey to come to the house, the Havenhurst house, and teach him how to do what we called at the time the backslide, you know. And then of course, Michael went on the 25th Motown anniversary situation, and he named it the Moonwalk, you know. And I'm not saying that, telling that story to hate on Mike, because Mike definitely gave Jeffrey his props through the years. But, you know, Jeffrey literally taught Michael how to do what Michael called later on the moonwalk. And so, like, you know, it's you know, and then, like I said, Michael gave him his props. Smooth Criminal. He hired Jeff to come in. Jeff choreographed Smooth Criminal. Jeff choreographed a lot of the bad video and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, it was a great, you know, relationship as far as working relationship was concerned between Jeff and Michael. But we didn't, the dance one, there was another dance that the Breakers, that the Pop Lockers and the Breakers and all that stuff used to do, called the Moonwalk, you know, but we used to call that the backslide. So, you know, but then Michael called it the Moonwalk, and that's where it got its popularity and stuff from. But yeah, Jeff was, and even as far as like, I always say, you know, because Shalimar, whatever Shalimar is here in the States, it's like 10 times even bigger, like over in Europe and in the UK especially. People all over the world.
The cheerleaders. And a featured dancer walked on the moon.
They didn't know if something was pulling me backwards, if I had oil on the floor, or if I had wheels
Treated
on my
them
shoes.
as they would any other dance record, until Shalimar entered the charts. The band's singer Jody was pregnant and couldn't make the show, but Michael Hurl took a chance on guitarist and street dancer Jeffrey Daniels' offer to demonstrate a whole new set of dance moves, alone.
I got into my hotel room and I just listened to the song and I just worked out a routine that I wanted to do. So I began it as preparing myself to go out. So I'm in the mirror, I'm fixing myself up, I'm doing my hair. So I'm kind of like reenacting the theme of the song.
When you love someone, it's natural, not demanding.
I go back, I do the wall climber.
One thing I'm proud to say I found in you.
Then I go back and I put my coat on. I had someone holding my jacket for me. And then I slip into my jacket. Okay, I'm ready, let's go. And then that's when I went into the back cocking, where I cocked back like that. And then bring myself back up again. I knew that there's a music breakdown in the middle of the song where the bass boom, 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 boom. So there's a music breakdown. So I saved that part of the song to do the backslide. And so I set it up, and when I knew it was coming,
so all the kids are going, wow, that looks great. How do you do that? And that's the first time, I believe, it had been shown on British TV.
I even got one of the dancers to handcuff me at the end of the song and drag me into the backslide across the floor. The impact that it had on the public was that they didn't know if something was pulling me backwards, if I had oil on the floor, if I had wheels on my shoes. They couldn't work out how I was doing this backslide. So we flew over to Amsterdam to continue our promotion. While we were in Amsterdam, the record company came banging on my hotel door. He said, Jeffrey, man, everyone's looking for you. I said, what's happening? What did I do? He said, no, we have to go back to the UK. That performance you did on Top of the Pops yesterday has everybody buzzing.
A couple of weeks ago, Jeffrey Daniels from Shalimar danced his way onto the program, and we've had hundreds of letters from people asking for him back. Well, he is back, moving to his music, A Night to Remember.
Then he was brought back, which was a really unusual phenomena, through public demand. Public demanded to see this man dance. And so the song was used as a backdrop to him. Normally dancing is used as a package for the product. He became the product.
Because of my performance on Top of the Pops, somebody else was watching me. So Michael actually wanted to learn a lot, all of the dancing. He wanted to learn popping, he wanted to learn waving, ticking. And of course, after we taught Michael Jackson the backslide, so he names it the moonwalk. And once again, he waited for the breakdown. When he did it on the Motown 25th, that was 1983, and that's the first time he did it. And I was in the audience and I was watching. So it was the beginning of this new dance revolution, which was going on with the graffiti artists, which was going on with the DJs scratching and breakbeat and everything. That was the groundwork, which is now called hip hop.